I think you'll find they'll stop this, but it'll be, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Not so far, and here we go, there's Craig Lowndes. Now, he's just run a little wide now. Now, Bow actually did drop a rear wheel off there, so they've both run a little bit wide, maybe not enough heat into their tyres or whatever. Very unusual for two guys running at the front to have this sort of accident by themselves at the same time, but that's thank God no one was hurt. And we've got a fantastic dice for the lead. Perkins, Gardner, who made a great start from 7th, and nothing between the group of them.
Well, this has really opened right up here with Craig Lowndes and John Bow out of action. Larry Perkins leading from... Oh, there's another one gone off on the infield. That's Brock! There's nobody hopping out the passenger side door.
It's going to be a busy day in the HRT pit. Larry Perkins v. Wayne Gardner at the pointy end of the field. Yep. These two have opened up a nice little buffer already. Gardner looking down the outside.
It's him.
Stephen Richards takes Alan Jones in behind them for 3rd spot.
And there's Glenn Seton lurking very close behind. The thing is here, what I can't understand is there isn't a dry and wet line. There we have Russell Ingle in the pits, but the track's dry. Maybe there's a little bit of oil down or something. Or the other thing that might explain a little bit of this is they're all out on green tyres except for Glenn Seton, which basically means they haven't done any running the previous day, and so the tyres are quite slippery for 3 laps or so until they actually come in and get a bit of bite. They haven't had a chance to scrub them in at all. But here we see Larry Perkins certainly going very hard out in front.
Most importantly, the 3 drivers involved in the incidents have got out of the car and are A-OK.
Glenn Seton is the big mover, now up to 3rd spot, having come off 10th grid position. Of course, 3 of the players in front of him have been taken out. But nonetheless, great effort by Seton.
Stephen Richards, Tony Longhurst, and Alan Jones all up in the running. And Dick Johnson on the back of the freight train after starting in position number 18 after a DNF earlier on, has really moved through the field. He's got the benefit of fresh tyres. Glenn Seton, though, as Garry said, is the mover and shaker in the field. He's opened a little buffer on Stephen Richards and has the rear guard of the Coca-Cola Commodore in his sights. Well, Dick Johnson was out of business on the first lap, first corner, in fact, of the first heat. He was on the tail end of that concertina in the first corner, ran into the back of Stephen Ellery, and that put him out of business there, but he's back up and running, doing well here.
Larry's car seems to be a little quicker than the WGR car. Just through the next corner, the sweeper onto the straight and off the straight. Gardner drops a little bit back and looks to maybe lose a little bit of speed here. And then, of course, he hauls him in back around the other end of the circuit.
Race cam with Glenn Seton trying to look for a way underneath the Coke car of Wayne Gardner. Under the bridge at the start-finish line. Larry Perkins in front. Here comes Seton. Gives Gardner the go-by straight down the inside at the end of the main straight.
Well, that'd be very frustrating for Wayne. I mean, you know, Seton's just pulled out of his slipstream and driven straight past him.
Glenn Seton, of the 6 V8 races here at the island, Seton has won 5 of them. It's his nominated test track. And he really is showing the benefit of plenty of laps around this beautiful layout here. Alan Jones, car 301. Into pit lane.
He was dicing around the same part of the circuit with Dick Johnson around the back there when we saw him slow down.
Seton nice and close to Larry Perkins. There's the view from the Glenn Seton car, the Ford Credit Racing Falcon EF. They talk about parity. There's a Holden and a Ford. They start to wind up into the long left-hander.
Now, the big winner out of all this, of course, is going to be Glenn Seton, because looking at the championship point score, the only other 2 guys that are in front of him in a minute are laying against walls and littered around the circuit. So a win or a second in this is going to put him right back in it. And, of course, Craig's car looked that bad that he definitely wouldn't start the next race, and Bow's is the same. So Glenn could walk away from this being the championship leader.
Well, after seeing what he did to Wayne Gardner on the main straight last lap round, it'll be interesting to see what sort of a move he can pull on Larry Perkins this time. Will he have the straight line speed or not?
Brad has mentioned a comparison between the Seton and the Gardner cars. Now we see Seton v Perkins. Down the main straightaway, Seton looks on the outside.
No,
Not that time around.
I think Perkins has got a little bit more horsepower than Wayne Gardner. He's acknowledged as certainly having one of, if not the strongest Commodore in the circuit, but Glenn's, you know, all over him, and that's a spot where Larry tickled him up in the race before, but he wasn't time for payback.
Early days yet.
Oh, I think Glenn's just biding his time here. No doubt in the next couple of laps he'll find a way by. Larry's covering all his bases. Look at that car squirm under brakes there. He's getting maximum amount out of that. And, of course, Glenn's just catching him in the middle of the corner here.
Seton, perhaps, I think, may have even been forced to get off the throttle a little bit there. Perkins wide. Seton looks down low. Ooh. These two have had it coming together already today. That was in heat number 1. No place for the faint-hearted at Phillip Island today. Larry Perkins leads from Glenn Seton. Looking out the front of the Falcon EF. Not even half race distance.
Well, this is just a great dice between these two front runners. Not a split inch between them. Perkins at the moment holding on, being pressured enormously by Seton. Fair gap back now to the third place getter, and that's Russell Ingall. So the Castrol cars running first and third at the present time. This will be a red letter day for them.
Larry's actually getting away from Glenn a little bit there on the way into that corner, but as you can see, Glenn squeezing onto the throttle, just hanging onto the back of the Perkins car. He's in the slipstream now. They'll get under the bridge. He'll pull to one side or the other to try and go by him. There he goes. But too far. You can't get around the outside of him there. So tuck back in.
Seton looking for the long way round. Once again under brakes, closing right up on Perkins. Again a peak on the inside. He did this last time around, and this is where he put the pressure on Perkins.
Bad luck for Stephen Richards, who finished the first heat so well and started this one so well.
He was in fact in third position, which is an outstanding effort for one of our leading privateers. This is where Perkins bobbled last time around. Seton out wide looking for the low exit. Not to be. You can bet if you're going to pass Larry Perkins, you are going to do it the hard way. He will not give you an inch.
That's where he's going to have a go at him. If they just touch there. It's interesting. Glenn's cars definitely seems to have the upper hand through all the medium to slower corners, but Larry's car is pretty fast through the fast sweeping stuff. So Glenn's just going to have to chip away at that and see how he goes.
In behind this pair, Russell Ingall in third place and Wayne Gardner for Coca-Cola holding down fourth spot, just coming over the rise.
In fact, I think it could be even Tony Longhurst, who started well back in the pack on row number 6 that's moved up to third. Gardner, SKAIFE, Johnson, Romano. Dumsney is up to position number 8. A very good effort for only his second touring car outing. Main straightaway time once again. Seton's got the outside. What's he going to do this time around? As they cross the strike at his half race distance, again he looks to the left. There's a right-hand corner coming up, and I would suggest Perkins has the line. He in fact does. Now this is where Seton, as Brad mentioned earlier, really manages to gain a lot of metres on the Castrol Commodore. Again ducking inside, a little taily, the Perkins car. And a great appreciation of the speed these cars are doing. A long, sweeping left-hander. And it's time to jump on the anchors very shortly. The right-hander. And this is a great battle. A battle far from over. And it's simply not a case of horsepower. The game plan is being used. Who has got the best coach? We will wait and see. Let's have a look at the Shell race score. Larry Perkins leads from Glenn Seton. Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon. Wayne Gardner, Mark SKAIFE round out the 5.
Glenn Seton at this stage of the race with a good break over Tony Longhurst. Mark SKAIFE has called it a day and is into the garage. A problem there. We know not what at this stage, but he's out of business for this race at least.
Well, there's 5 laps to go, and there's no shortage of action. Cars, you know, falling off and breaking down everywhere. It's certainly nothing like what we expected.
Well, these two are certainly standing the test so far. And Glenn Seton, you've got to hand it to him. He's staged a remarkable drive in both the first heat and now here in the second heat, and is certainly throwing the gauntlet right down to Larry Perkins.
Well, he's given Larry a couple of little nudges to let him know that he's there and he's wanting to come by. He's only 5 laps left to do it in, and I think things could get a touch more frantic from here on in.
A great advertisement for the quality field and the depth of the field when you've got drivers like Bow, SKAIFE, Brock and Lowndes already out of the race, and the race can just be so interesting. It's so close up the front of the field. 7.5 racing laps complete. Larry Perkins looking for victory, and Glenn Seton still in second. There's the Tony Longhurst car. Dick Johnson has moved up to occupy position number 4 after starting in 17. Paul Romano, Max Dumsney. There's Gardner and Stephen Ellery.
And that's it.
Well, that's fair enough. It's not over, though, as far as these two are concerned. And this is the way it's been almost from the outset. After we lost Lowndes and Bow, these two have been at it hammer and tong. And it'd be a game man to call the result at this stage. Fantastic crowd lining the main straight here at Phillip Island. What a credit it is to the sports fans here as they cross the start-finish line with 4 laps to go, that all of these people came out today all the way down to Phillip Island. And when they set out to come here, the conditions this morning were deplorable. But you're seeing Phillip Island somewhat close to its best at the moment.
Well, the track conditions must still be pretty greasy, Brad Jones. 1:37s they're running in. Lap record 1:34. So even though the track looks dry, they're still skating and sliding around a fair bit.
Well, that's right. And I'm sure Glenn could probably go a little bit quicker, but he's tied up here a bit behind Larry.
Larry's doing a fabulous job. You see the car, tyres, brakes, everything's starting to get a little bit faded. But he's holding out Seton, one of the most aggressive drivers in the business, trying every option he has available to get past Perkins. But Perkins really showing tremendous amount of experience here to hold him out.
And very good tyre choice. The Dunlop runners have a choice of not only compounds, but whether the tyres are manufactured in Japan or in England. And this is only the second time someone's used the Japanese tyres. John Bow did at Bathurst. And obviously they're working very, very well.
Take race cam with Dick Johnson, Dunlop race cam, Shell 17. As I said earlier, had a tremendously bad practice session. Couldn't get the balance in the car at all.
Horrendous start to the first heat. Yeah.
He's really been in the walls. Got a new bonnet, new front bodywork on the Shell car. Trying to fight his way back through the field.
Well, he's the sole survivor in the Shell team out there with John Bow in that massive accident on the opening lap.
Well, he's up in 4th position. Just 1 second down on Tony Longhurst. But look at this battle for the lead. It's been going on the whole race distance.
Seton will pull out from the draft now and attempt the pass, but Perkins just won't give in.
9 laps down, 3 to go. It's a tremendous contest. 4.4 kilometre Grand Prix track at Phillip Island. Great mix of corners, slow, fast, medium, high speed. Test the drivers and the cars, the setup and the tyres to the limit. And these two cars are so evenly matched. Seton, look down the inside, building up to 240 kilometres an hour as they swing down under the Foster's Bridge and up toward Honda Corner once again. Perkins covering his tracks. Seton tries to look around the outside. They pass the pack leader car, gave them plenty of room out of Honda, down towards Siberia. Seton trying to plan his move, but there's nothing in this. It's going to be a big, desperate lunge somewhere very close behind the Castrol Commodore through Siberia.
And that's a place I think that he'll actually have a go at him. Larry leaves a bit of a hole there, and Glenn can probably fit half a car in it. So we'll see how desperate he is to win this race in the next couple of laps.
Accelerating hard up the hill, 230, 240k. As they take the rise up Lukey Heights, the car gets very light, very skatey over here. Perkins holds his line. Seton, flames belching from the exhaust of the Ford Credit Falcon as he works back through the gears and hangs onto the back of the Castrol hold. A little bit sideways out of there, you can see as he tries to get that power to the ground. Massive torque from these V8 engines. We take Dunlop race cam again right behind Tony Longhurst. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th position. So it's Perkins and Seton about 6 seconds up the road from this battle for 3rd and 4th. Tony Longhurst struggling to get some speed out of this Castrol Ford last year, but boy, now he's got Ralph Bellamy, former BMW engineer and Formula One mechanic working for the team, and it seems to be working great guns. Here's the battle for the lead. 2 laps to go. Just over 8-9 kilometres left. Larry Perkins still in control. He wouldn't want to throw this one away this late in the race. Look how close Seton is. Right up behind Perkins as they sweep through the southern loop. Take race cam with the Castrol car. Looking back at Seton, you can just about see the eyes.
You can almost feel Glenn's frustration sitting here looking at him.
And the eyes are beyond, and the Ford Credit Falcon, make no mistake.
Well, he's keeping the pressure on Perkins, hoping Larry comes up with an error, but very rarely does he do that. And Seton's just going to have to do it all on his own to try and get by. He can't rely on Larry to make a blue.
Well, classic Ford Holden battle this. Keep in mind too, with Lowndes and Bow, our main title contenders out. This is really going to open the championship up. Big haul of points here for Perkins and Seton. We've got one more heat to go. We could leave Phillip Island with a very tight tree at the top of the championship table. Race cam again with Seton right up behind the wing of the Castrol Commodore. You can see struggling with the car, just gingerly feathering the throttle as they come over the rise. Car gets very light, brakes on. Enough to get alongside Perkins, but it's not going to be a position to overtake. Larry's going to have to make a bit of a blue here as they come back toward pit straight once again.
He's definitely right on him.
Coming around to get the last lap board. Can Glenn Seton pull it out of the box here on the last lap?
These two still cutting times, 1:37.3, just locked together, 100th of a second apart. They've opened the gap up 6 seconds over Longhurst and Johnson back in 3rd and 4th. And Romano, a great run from the youngster in the pack leader Falcon. Look at this. Perkins still in control as they swing through turn 1 for the final time. Just under 200 kilometres an hour, braking hard for Southern Loop, down to about 120k.
Half dozen corners left for Glenn Seton.
Muscling hard to the apex. Look how close Perkins is.
Blue.
To Seton. Look, we take race cam. Last lap board goes up. And this is one of the most popular areas down here. Honda corner, you can see Perkins using every ounce of the braking capacity of that car.
Oh, how close.
So close.
I don't think it's close enough to have a shot at him here.
Down through Siberia once again. He has a big look down the inside. Perkins leaves a little bit of room, pulls the nose in toward the apex, really muscling the Castrol Commodore to hold the Ford Credit Falcon out.
Opening was there, but he just couldn't take advantage of it, Glenn Seton. I think that might have been his last chance.
Feeding it some gears, accelerating back up toward Lukey Heights, 220, 230 kilometres an hour through the S's, up over the rise for the final time. Perkins only got to hold it together for another kilometre or so, but Seton taking the attack right under the Castrol board. He's so
had to be a touch.
But Larry lives, and he's fighting tooth and nail to hang on to this. He's fought for it the whole race. 11 laps, 12 laps completed as they come across the line. This will be the last one. Can Perkins hold him out, or will Seton have a big lunge? A bit of more exit speed as they come onto the pit straight for the final time. Right up behind the Castrol Commodore, pulls out alongside, but Perkins will hold him. Fabulous race.
Fantastic.
Oh, Larry Perkins is the winner, stalling Glenn Seton to the line by a half car length. Just 0.14 of a second in it, and Dick Johnson crosses the line in 3rd place. That's a great drive by him for the man who qualified 15th yesterday. Hats off to Lightning Larry, winner, Heat 2, Round 5, the Touring Car Championship in the Castrol Commodore, holding out Glenn Seton. 3rd place going to Dick Johnson. Tony Longhurst was 4th, and Paul Romano, fantastic effort to finish in 5th place. Max Dumsney was 6th, followed by Steve Ellery, Wayne Gardner, Stephen Richards, and Alan Jones finishing in 10th position. More excitement to come from Phillip Island. Craig Lowndes was the first to go on the opening lap of Heat 2, followed very quickly by John Bow, who in spectacular fashion demolished his Shell FAI Falcon. Both cars suffering extensive damage and failing to make the grid for this final of the 3 races today. Peter Brock, though, will be there, having made repairs, but Larry Perkins has the honour of pole position, winning this previous race. Glenn Seton sharing the front row of the grid with him. 2nd row, Dick Johnson and Tony Longhurst.
Out of row 3 will be Paul Romano in the pack leader Ford, with Max Dumsney moving up the order in the Valvoline Auto Pro car. Row 4, Steve Ellery in the Ellery Motorsport Falcon EF, and Wayne Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore.
5th row of the grid shared by Stephen Richards and Alan Jones. Then on the 6th row, Mark SKAIFE for Sega Commodore and Peter Brock in the repaired 05.
Right down the back, row 7, Russell Ingall and John Faulkner. Well, we didn't think he was going to do it, but by the skin of his teeth, Mark Larkham and the Mitre 10 Fords just made it onto the grid for the start of Heat 3. Less than 10 seconds to go. Glenn Seton, Larry Perkins on the front row. It's Ford, it's Holden side by side. The engine's bouncing off the rev limiters, 7,500 RPM, and Larry Perkins gets the throttle down. Dick Johnson makes an excellent start from the outside, and there's a whole pack thundering over the hill up to 220 kilometres an hour, charging down toward turn 1. Larry Perkins leads it through. Look at Dick Johnson on an absolute roll here. Absolutely terrible qualifying practice at Phillip Island, but he's making up for it. Leaps and bounds in Heat 3, up to 2nd position. Gunned in front of Glenn Seton. There's Wayne Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore, and Peter Brock right back in the pack, and a lot of work to do.
Well, Dick Johnson's car was going like a camel until he banged it up in heat 1. He should bang it up more often.
Look at this, Dick Johnson on fire. Really giving it everything as they come under the Foster's Bridge up toward Honda for the first time. Glenn Seton in 3rd position, Wayne Gardner in 4th in the Co-Commodore. Max Dumsney, the privateer in only his 2nd touring car race, up to 5th position. As they swing down through Siberia, there's Dumsney just ahead of one of the pack leader Fords, and a stack of privateers with Mark SKAIFE too, after a shocker in Heat 2, trying to fight his way back to pack as they come up toward Lukey Heights for the first time. Big benefactor here could be Glenn Seton and Peter Brock if they're going to tighten this championship up. Both Lowndes and Bow, the championship leaders, out of the battle, so this is a chance to really close up the points. Johnson hard up behind the Castrol Commodores. They swing out of turn 10 a little bit sideways as he gets 550 horsepower to the tar. He's up alongside and he's in front of Perkins. Perkins hanging into there. Side by side, he's not going to let Johnson get away with this as we take race cam aboard this heated battle as they swing back onto pit straight for the first time. Johnson really on fire at Phillip Island this afternoon. The battle now, Seton comes out. They fan out 3 wide as they come across the start-finish line. We take race cam in the Ford Credit Falcon as Seton just motors past Dick Johnson. But Johnson's got a good line here. He's up inside Seton, and Seton is no lack of courage as he ducks around the outside, and Gardner now jumps up to make a quartet. Fabulous battle in the opening lap here of the V8s, and Seton has another go down the inside coming out of Southern Loop. So Perkins gets shuffled back to 2nd position. So now it's Seton. Johnson now in 3rd position, and there's Wayne Gardner really climbing onto the back of the Shell Ford.
Well, that's an unbelievable 60 seconds of driving from Glenn Seton.
Well, I'm sure he couldn't have believed his luck there. Onto the straight, we had Dick and Larry banging into one another, well, not quite hitting, but certainly pulling a bit of speed off one another, which gave him a fantastic run down the straight. And, of course, Larry ran a little wide, and he's in the lead and pulling away.
Oh, look at this. We take roof cam aboard, Shell Dunlop race cam. Getting a little bit of muscle, a little bit of elbowing there. Larry Perkins up in front of him. Look how serious they are as they come through here up toward Lukey Heights once again. Dick Johnson has to give way to Wayne Gardner on a real charge in the Coca-Cola Commodore.
That's amazing. Dick Johnson was a real threat for the lead less than 2 minutes ago, and now he's been shuffled back to 4th.
Wayne Gardner's on a real charge. He was very quick in qualifying here in the wet. Boy, he shakes the speed. A little tap there, but Dick, come on, Wayne, get a move on. Dick Johnson seriously pumped up at Phillip Island. We normally only see him putting on a squirt like this at Bathurst and Lakeside, but boy, oh boy, this is the Dick Johnson of old.
And Alan Jones has come into the fight too.
So Alan Jones in the pack leader Falcon, looking far more competitive these days. He's pushed his way past Dumsney, and now he's trying to do the same thing to Dick Johnson. 2 laps completed as they come across the start-finish line. Jones on the outside, Johnson on the inside. Johnson switches across to try and get a run on Gardner while Jones goes the other direction, but there's no room down there. So Jones stays in 5th position behind Johnson. Look at Jones. All that aggression coming through as he gets this pack leader forward, more and more competitive with each outing right off the outside. Johnson covering his tracks very effectively. 2 Commodores in front of them. There's Perkins. He's got Gardner breathing down his neck. Look at this, continuing to attack. Alan Jones, 220 kilometres an hour as they come under the bridge and up toward Honda once again. Dunlop race cam shows you Jones gets a real good look inside the back of the Shell 17 Falcon. Fills the mirrors. Johnson's would be well aware he's got an ex-world champion breathing right down his neck. Jones goes to the outside. The 2 top bananas, Queensland Ford teams, Dick Johnson and Alan Jones, fighting for supremacy at Phillip Island. Jones gets a terrific run out of Siberia. He comes up alongside, building up to 220k. Not able to do anything on the outside. Ducks back a little bit there as they head up toward Lukey Heights once again. No answer for Johnson, who is showing a tremendous turn of speed in Heat 3 at Phillip Island this afternoon.
Well, this is as good a racing as we've seen in the Shell Series so far this year. Terrific stuff by these guys in improving conditions at Phillip Island late in the day.
And it's interesting that Glenn Seton skipped the wall. There we go.
Oh, Dumsney. Oh, he's T-boned Mark SKAIFE.
And Brock's almost got caught up in
Stephen Richards got through.
Oh, Mark SKAIFE. Has he been out of luck this year? You saw him in the wars a month ago. Similar incident with Wayne Gardner. Now he's been on the receiving end. Dear, oh dear.
Johnson and Jones continue to battle it out. Glenn Seton, meantime, is off like a scalded cat.
Glenn Seton opened it up now, 4.1 seconds, the gap over Larry Perkins. Then we've got Johnson and Jones locked in this terrific scrap. Positions changing up and down the field. It's a long, long circuit, this 4.4 kilometres of racetrack. Seton now running in the 135s that time around. Everyone else in the 137 second bracket and upwards. So Seton absolutely flying in in this heat. Let's have a look at that run again. Max Dumpsey just getting offline, digs a wheel into the dirt. Someone's going to cop it. It's SKAIFE. Pow! Right into the B-pillar of the Sega Commodore. And SKAIFE, boy, oh boy, he can't take a trick at Phillip Island this afternoon. So he is in the pits. Can't see the battle damage. That's on the other side of the car, but SKAIFE will be fuming. Just trying to hang on to his points in this championship. Came into the round of fairway down on the score.
Not too much urgency there.
No, they know that they're on a hiding to nothing.
In the second race today, Gardner has a English compound on that not too many people have raced with here, and he had an understeering problem with the car, but they've changed a few things in between races, seemed to have sorted it out, and he's definitely all over Perkins looking for a way by.
Look how close he is to the Castrol Commodore as they swing on once again. Larry Perkins is putting in a tremendous performance at Phillip Island this afternoon. He's had a terrible start. There's the Castrol Falcon, tyre problems apparently. Tony Longhurst is showing a good turn of speed here this afternoon too, but not so in heat 3. Pulls off, and that's the end of his day. Look at Wayne Gardner, continues to attack the back of the Castrol Commodore. Larry Perkins feeling the maximum pressure here. 4 laps down from this 12-lapper. Gardner switching left, switching right, applying the thumb screws to Perkins. He can sniff some big points here. He's going to give it everything to try and get him. He ducks down the inside of Perkins, accelerating up hard. Look, race cam shows you just how close Gardner was on the inside, just up alongside the rear quarter panel of the Castrol Commodore, but not far enough in to do anything about it as they come up toward Honda Corner.
Fantastic cut and thrust action here. Perkins and Gardner are not far astern of them. We've got Dick Johnson and Alan Jones, but of course this is playing into the hands of Glenn Seton, who's got a free ride up front.
5-litre racing at its best. This is the cut and thrust of these cars. Falcons and Commodores very evenly matched. Variety of tyres, variety of drivers. But boy, when these guys get serious, it's on for young and old. Swinging up toward Lukey Heights once again. Well over 220 kilometres an hour, not daunted by the crash there with Bow and Lowndes in heat 2. These guys giving it absolutely everything. Over Lukey Heights once again. Johnson still well and truly in this battle. Seton still, Gardner along the outside. Oh, and there's body contact, a big contact. Gardner goes far.
They're both off.
Perkins has gone with him, just misses the shell sign, gets back onto the island, and Gardner's going with him, but doesn't leave too much to the imagination there.
Well, Gardner, went down around the outside, and maybe Larry didn't see him there, and, he went over to move his part of the track, and hard to tell because we're only looking for the inside, but it's a pity, really, because they're having such a good dice.
Look at that again on the replay. Gardner was right alongside. Pow! Perkins takes up his line out of turn 10. And there was no room for either. Well and truly off the grass, I guess, by the time they contacted.
Well, it really looked on the TV like Gardner turned into him, but I don't think that's true because they were out of track when, Larry drove straight off the track the next moment. So I think it's just one of those things.
What it's done is elevate Dick Johnson to second place now. Alan Jones in third spot. Glenn Seton continues to lead, has a good lead at this point with about 5 laps gone.
So this battle has been on since the green light. Alan Jones well and truly pumped and enjoying the competitiveness of this pack leader Falcon. His teammate Paul Romano's been having a good run here too. As they swing out of Siberia up toward Lukey Heights once again. 5 laps completed of 12. Seton still showing a clean pair of heels to everyone in this field. A 1:35.99 the last time around. These guys running in the 1:37s. Seton has really opened it up. 8.8 seconds now, the gap over this battle for second. Look at Jones using every bit of track he can get his tyres on. Puts them up on the ripple strips, but Johnson equal to the task. So 8 seconds now, the gap for Seton over this battle for second and third. Romano now in 4th position in the second pack leader Falcon. That's a great run from the youngster. Perkins climbing back into 5th position. And Peter Brock from the back of this pack now, he's pushed his way up to 6th position. So Brocky well into the points as well. Half distance.
Half distance and a good drive, as you said, by Paul Romano, considering he got a buffeting in the first heat, and you can easily be intimidated by that kind of stuff, but he's come back good and strong.
Look at Jones. Just ticks the nose of the Falcon out to no Johnson. He's right up behind it, trying to get past. Glenn Seton well in control here. 9 seconds the gap over Dick Johnson and Alan Jones fighting over second. Paul Romano in fourth, and Larry Perkins rounds out the five. Don't go away, there's plenty more. As we went to the break, and Alan Jones has continued it. Just, you saw there, pushing his way through after chipping away the back, and he's lost it under brakes, got very sideways. Dick Johnson may be able to capitalise here side by side as we take Dunlop Race Cam alongside the pack leader Falcon. But Jones well positioned as they come through Siberia. He'll probably hold this position. Johnson tried to take advantage. As Dunlop Race Cam showed you quite graphically, just not the opportunity there to snip past Jones.
Well, this is what the fans have paid their money for, to come here today, and they've certainly got their money's worth. The unbelievable action of Heat 2, which unfortunately cost John Bowe and Craig Lowndes their opportunities. But boy, the action here, first between Wayne Gardner, Larry Perkins, now between Alan Jones and Dick Johnson, is providing a thrill a minute.
Look at Dick Johnson. He's not giving up at all. There's Paul Romano, young Queenslander, drafted into the pack leader racing team this year. Struggled to get the car competitive in the opening rounds, but boy, the package looks like it's working here at Phillip Island. Back through the field.
Russell Ingall.
Russell.
That's actually Larry.
Larry Perkins.
Brock. Larry, sorry, and Peter Brock.
And so Brock is picking his way through the field. He's in sixth, Perkins is in fifth. So Brock is really on a charge.
And he really needs to pass a few more of these cars to get points without Bowe and Lowndes in this particular race. Oh, there was a bit of a dice there. Without without Lowndes and Bowe in this race, the championship at the top's really tightening up. And if Brock can get a good result here in this race, he can certainly threaten for the championship lead.
Come past the camera down toward Honda once again. And Peter Brock climbing all over the back of car 11 as they come down towards Siberia once again, keeping the pressure on.
Oh, Wayne Gardner parked right in behind them too, so a foot wrong on the part of either of these guys will bring Wayne right back into it. Of course, he and Larry had their little coming together a couple of laps ago, which cost them both dearly.
We must point out here, Wilco, a bit of confusion under the transponder in Russell Ingall's car is shut down for a couple of laps, but Ingall is actually running, there he is there, car 8, the Castrol Commodore. He's running in fourth position, but it's not showing on the official lap scoring system, so we apologise to Russell for that. A great drive, he's up to fourth position. Seton, Jones, Johnson, Ingall, Romano, Perkins, Brock, Gardner, Richards, Ellery and Faulkner. The privateers making a big charge now into the top 10, 8th, 9th and 10th.
Oh, Russell Ingall paying the penalty there for keeping it clean and keeping his nose out of trouble while all the action was going on around him, and he's just kept on keeping on there in fourth position. A good effort.
So Ingall now coming under fire. Paul Romano giving it everything in the pack leader Falcon. Very competitive run last year in a privateer Commodore. Larry Perkins, Peter Brock, two great sparring partners, teammates of course, back in the early 80s in the era when they absolutely dominated Bathurst like no one has ever done before.
Three-time winners together.
Now well and truly rivals, and give no quarter rivals of that. There's Stephen Richards in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore in 9th position, just hanging in the top 10. Stephen Ellery behind. Looks like John Faulkner's on a vanishing act unless he's ahead of these two. But a big pack of cars, tremendous racing from the 5-litre V8s in round 3 of round 5, halfway point of the Shell Championship for 1996. Stephen Ellery doing a great job in the Chell Grey Falcon, and not only leading the Auto Action Privateers Cup coming into this Phillip Island round, but doing a great job here at the back of the level 1 teams.
A little bit of damage on the front of that car, but he's not the only one.
I think he's lucky to be running out there. We take race cam, Castrol race cam with Perkins, as you can feel the heat down the back of your collar of Peter Brock trying to get past, and he's got Wayne Gardner, who recovered from that little tangle with Perkins out of turn 10 a few laps ago. 3 laps remaining as our race leader crosses the line. Seton.
There's a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of Brock's car there on the left-hand side. It looked like maybe he's got a tyre rubbing there or something.
Well, Seton's opened it up now, 10.7. The gap over Alan Jones in 2nd position, Johnson in 3rd. Romano close to the back of the Shell Falcon, Perkins in 5th. I guess, Bradley, a lot of people at home will be wondering, with John Bow's accident, why they didn't draft John into the Dick Johnson car regarding the championship situation.
Well, Brock's car smoking badly, that's true, and it's the same with Brock and Lowndes, but I'd say maybe he's done an engine.
Oh, look at the smoke belching from the back of that car.
Bye-bye, Brocky.
A bit hard to tell.
Whatever it is, it could pay to his chances of finishing in the points here in this race.
It's coming out of the front left, looks like, under the bonnet maybe, so maybe an oil line or something was damaged in the accident. It's very hard to tell. I mean, they've done a fantastic job to get the car back to where it is, but it's tearing up a bit of Mobil 1 there, isn't it?
Certainly is.
But the reason that John Bow, he actually could have jumped into Dick's car, but unfortunately they don't get any points if they change cars, and that's the same reason why Craig wouldn't have been in Brock's car. So
waste of effort.
As unfortunate as it is, that's exactly right. The driver may as well be out there trying to gain the points.
Race leader Glenn Seton, the man who has dominated touring car racing here at Phillip Island the last several seasons, with 2 laps to go, is looking good. A lead of 10+ seconds, and this will really boost his points total and put him in a threatening position as far as the championship is concerned, with the front runners Craig Lowndes and John Bow, both of whom, of course, were taken out of action in the second heat here today.
Now, this isn't the inflatable Glenn Seton. This is actually a drink straw. As he munches on during the race. The smoke now starting to come from one of the Castrol cars as well.
I'm pretty sure it's Larry Perkins.
And it's getting much, much worse. Belching from the near the front left wheel.
The front left wheel.
Oh, but Larry's not backing off a bit. Gardner can smell he's got some injured prey in front of him. He's trying to pounce. You just can't see him on race cam.
I know what he can smell.
Could try and go down the inside here. It's hard to tell what that is.
So Gardner comes back on the inside.
He's
Gardner's trying to take advantage. Perkins not backing off, but he has to give way this time. A lot of smoke belching from the Castrol Commodore. He'll be lucky to bring it home.
Well, 2 laps from the end, Larry will be aware of where he is on the points, and he has to finish 9th or better to win overall on the day. So he'll be doing his best to stay out there, get to the finish, and get the points he needs to win overall.
Larry nurses at home. Wayne Gardner now all over the...
Paul Romano car.
All over the back of the pack leader Paul Romano car.
Well, this is a great run for Paul Romano, 21-year-old Queenslander, son of Bap Romano, the former sports car. Oh, look at Gardner getting really untidy as he gets right up behind the wing of 201. He knows there's points on over here. He ducks down the inside. Very aggressive run from Gardner. He goes very deep under brakes into turn 10. They'll go in side by side. Perkins wants a little slice of this too. But Gardner not able to do anything about that. Romano, good, strong defensive driving. Let's see if he can maintain the pressure for the final 4.4 Ks as they swing on to pit straight for the final time.
Well, the smoke has disappeared and Larry's really smoking again now.
Well, the smoke stopped for some reason. It was belching from that front left wheel as he came down. Oh, look at Romano.
And look at Larry also getting a little bit untidy there. These three going at it for all they're worth with a lap to go.
The order, Seton, Jones, Johnson, Ingle. And here's the battle. Romano, Gardner, Perkins, 5th, 6th and 7th locked together as we take race cam from the front spoiler of the Castrol Commodore. And look at Romano get all sideways as he sets it up for Southern Loop. Oh, on off the power. Perkins tries to take advantage, sticks a wheel up on the curb, right up behind the back of the Coca-Cola Commodore the final time around. Desperate stuff from these three. Romano doing a great job under pressure. Not a huge amount of experience of racing level 1 drivers, but he's certainly proving their mettle here. Side by side three, and look at Perkins. And
late braking. He couldn't do it.
Romano spun as well.
He gave it everything he had.
Stephen Richards had to go off to avoid head-on with Romano. Larry way out of the outfield there, just left the braking too late. It was a daring manoeuvre.
Showing plenty of boyish enthusiasm then. He stood the Castrol Commodore on its nose, but there was no way it was going to stop in the time.
Glenn Seton is the race leader. He's on the last lap, and this has been a great performance by him. He got shuffled out of it in the first heat today, came back through the field, had a good position and a good finish in the second heat, and now, having started off the front row of the grid in the third and final heat today, has taken every advantage of it and is going to take the checkered flag and boost his points total here at the halfway mark in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. In fact, he'll close the gap. The checkered flag is out. He'll close the gap on Craig Lowndes and John Bow, still holding down third place in the championship. Glenn Seton, great effort to take the third heat here at Phillip Island. Alan Jones crossing the line in second place with Dick Johnson in third. What an action-packed round of the championship this has been. We've got carcasses of cars littered all over the circuit. We've had the 2 top points leaders taken out in the second heat. It's allowed the championship to close right up and set the stage for a fantastic second half of the season.
Well, it's interesting looking at Seton's expression in the car there. Even though he's won that third heat, I reckon he'd be a little bit disappointed not to have cleaned up here today. Glenn, well done on that victory in Heat 3, but I guess you've been hoping for victory in all 3 heats, the way your testing form looked before you came here.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. I suppose I don't do enough testing here in the wet. I don't do any at all because basically I come down here usually when it's dry. So, but we've come out of the day pretty good. I'm still happy.
I think you've done pretty well to survive today, Glenn. You haven't got a scratch on the car, unlike a lot of your contemporaries.
Yeah, I suppose I'm very lucky in that way. It's probably one of those circuits that it's very, very fast, and if you ever do have an off here, it's quite a big one.
All right, well, congratulations, and you've really tightened the championship battle up. It looks good now.
Yeah, thank you, and hopefully we can carry on from here.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
And this is the way they finished on the Shell race score. In the third heat at Phillip Island today, Glenn Seton taking the checkered flag. Alan Jones in second place from Dick Johnson. Russell Ingall was fourth, and Wayne Gardner for Coca-Cola finished fifth.
Stephen Richards in sixth. Here's the charge of the privateers. Stephen Ellery in seventh. Great run that. Larry Perkins survived for eighth. Johnny Faulkner in ninth. And Paul Romano rounded out the 10. Don't go away. We'll be back with the presentations in just a moment.
It was a day of many surprises, and it was never, never dull. Our top privateer on the day, congratulations to Stephen Richards.
Thanks, Andy.
A day where if you stayed on the track and made the finish line, you're a fair chance of getting some points.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we just hung out there all day and we've ended up in a good position. I'd like to thank Bridgestone. The tyres today were fantastic. Valvoline, Cummins, and the boys for supplying such a great car.
Congratulations, Stephen. Third place today, and the weekend really didn't start that well, but it's ended up just okay. Dickie Johnson.
Thanks, Andy. No, I didn't start all that well. You know, the first race, I got into the end of a chain reaction deal, which is like a freeway shunt down on turn 2, and just stuck a hole through the radiator, which sort of put paid to that. But starting from the back and finishing third in the second race sort of put me in fairly good stead for the final heat.
And the depth of 5-litre V8 racing, when in race number 2 we lost 4 of the top drivers, yet we still produced incredible racing.
Well, I think that's what it's all about. It's very, very close, and it's a fairly brave man that can pick a winner these days, I think.
Certainly is. Dick Johnson, congratulations. Second place today, and a guy who managed to also stay out of trouble, Glenn Seton.
Thank you, Andy.
You've had plenty of success at the island before, but I don't think any day is quite compared to today.
No, it was one of those days that you got caught out, really. In the wet, we just weren't quick enough, but in the dry, we knew we were going to be quick enough, and I had a great race with Larry in the second race, and thank you to my sponsors that have got me here this year, Ford Credit, Bridgestone Tyre Centres.
Congratulations, no doubt. We'll see you on the podium a little later. At this stage, I would ask Ross Brodie, the motorsport manager for Shell, to present the winner's garland to today's winner, Lightning Larry Perkins.
Cheers.
You're a racer's racer, and you can tell me the truth, you loved that today, didn't you?
Oh, of course, I had an absolutely excellent race, the first I've had for a while, and in that second race, Glenn and I was going hammer and tongs, and I had his measure, even though he was quicker. But the third race, Glenn was quickest, and he won, and he was actually quickest on the day by 1, and that's the bit that counts.
The championship points Slater certainly closes up at the top now.
Oh, yeah, I needed a bit of a boost, and I got it today, and still a lot of races left, and I'm taking them race by race, and I love racing, I want to have a race.
Larry, we love watching you too. Larry Perkins, winner today here at Phillip Island. The points table, no doubt, getting very crowded.
Certainly is, but Craig Lowndes still there at the top on 195 points, ahead of John Bowe on 182. This is where it's closing up though. Glenn Seton on 161, Peter Brock 130, Larry Perkins on 107. He shares fifth place, Larry Perkins, with Dick Johnson. I guess, Brad Jones, Glenn Seton to be a bit disappointed he didn't take better advantage of what happened here today.
I'm sure he would be after the result in the first race. You know, it was one that was there for his taking, and unfortunately he expected to win here this weekend overall and every race, and unfortunately it didn't happen.
Lowndes and Bowe, the Holden Racing and Shell team's got a lot of work to do.
Well, they certainly have. I think HRT are lucky, if you could say that after a day like this, to be planning to debut a new car at the Calder event. So therefore they just have to fix the Brock car up, which it seems that they've done partly anyway. And for the Johnson team, they do have a spare car. Bow was out testing it last week, so they'll certainly be loading that into the truck and getting ready for Calder. It's probably set both of them back a little bit, but they're lucky enough to have spare cars.
Well, the car that John Bow wiped out today is the car in which the Shell team won Bathurst in '94 and the Touring Car Championship last year. It's now an absolute write-off. Next round of the Touring Car Championship is coming your way on Channel 7 just 2 weeks from today at Calder Park here in Victoria. Hope you can join us for our coverage of that when 7 Sport next takes you motor racing.